because you are really the alternative choice to traditional financing, right?
Yeah.
You made mention of one really cool tool, which is a lease option purchase, which I want to jump into because it's done wrong.
Oh, it's done wrong all the time.
All of the time.
A lot.
And I just want to go out to my realtor partners that have advised these things to happen. Like LegalZoom is not your friend, people. Do it the right way. And then seller carried finance. So those are the two things that I know you're an expert in, and I wanted to share with our viewers out there to say, hey, we can look at the real estate market in some different avenues. So let's jump into a lease option purchase. And
I'm pretty sure they're illegal, right?
Say again?
I'm pretty sure they're illegal, right?
That is the that's the go-to that people go with. They either give you that deer in the headlights look like.
Yeah. Sorry, what?
Yeah.
Or they go, oh, that's illegal. And maybe a little news flash banner down here. Lease option purchases are not illegal. They just need to be done right. And so
you just need to do them right.
Yeah. Tell us what a lease option is, Marishka.
Well, very simply, it's two parts. It's a lease, which, has all the things that go along with a lease.
Like to rent a house.
Like rent a house, right? Or rent an apartment or rent a commercial building or whatever. It's actually done probably more frequently in commercial arenas than it's done in the residential realm. But it's a wonderful tool for the residential realm, whether you're a buyer or a seller, by the way. It doesn't just have to benefit one party. It can benefit, both parties. So, but it's a lease, and then it's an option to buy. And an option is a special agreement between the buyer and the seller where the seller agrees to sell this house to the buyer for a specified price for a specified period of time. It could be 3 months, it could be 3 years, whatever.
Right.
But it's memorialized on paper. And in exchange for holding that property exclusively for them, so the seller can't just go off and sell it to someone else. They have to agree to sell that that property to the buyer. They have an exclusive option to buy, and in exchange for that, the seller receives some consideration. What is consideration? That is an amount of money. And so the seller receives an amount of money in agreement to hold this property. Now, what are the buyer's obligations? Well, they're not obligated to anything, really. They have the option, but not the obligation to purchase the property. Now, it makes sense, of course, when you're structuring this deal that you want to make sure that the buyer has or will have the ability to purchase. And there's a number of ways, and we can talk about how that might work. But you don't ever want to put somebody in a situation where they have no chance of ever being able to buy that home. It needs to make sense. The monthly payment needs to make sense, all of those things. But in exchange for that, the seller may, let's just say that they have a $500,000 house and the market has, kind of slipped a little bit and they just don't want to let it go for $475,000. They might find someone who wants to buy that house or wants to lease it with an option to buy. They agree to pay $500,000 or possibly even a little bit more. Who knows? Because this is an amenity, right? This is like having, hardwood floors or granite countertops. And so you might pay a little bit more for that in exchange to having the luxury of time before you exercise your option to buy.
Yeah.
And, once they do that, then at that point, when the time comes, well, maybe they can get bank financing at that point. There might also be other alternatives, or they could walk away. But the benefit to the seller is that, they have a tenant who isn't just a serial renter. They have somebody who is planning to buy the home. So who's going to take better care of the house, a renter or a future homeowner?
That's a great point.
In my experience, it's been the few. So even when I've had lease option tenants who, for whatever reason, can't buy or something has happened in their life and they've chosen not to.
Right.
They usually are apologetic to me and they say, gosh, I'm so sorry, I'm not able to buy. But they've taken, 9 times out of 10, they've taken really good care of the property and sometimes even improved it.
Right. And it's so common that people have a situation that they don't want to purchase right now, but they know it's a good time. They found what they want. They just don't have the capability right now. Whether it be their job is they're going to be getting a big bonus coming up, or they're going to be getting a promotion, or they just moved to the area and they're not sure they're going to stay. There's so many times.
There's such good reason. Yeah. Exactly.
And I just want to go back really quick and make sure everybody gets this clear in their minds that like there's one lease and then there's an option to buy. It's like a compound sentence, right? There's a comma in there. So there's the lease, just normal renting the house, right? And then there's the option to purchase. And you mentioned, Marishka, that there's a consideration. Is that consideration like paid down towards like a lump sum, like, hey, I'll give you $10,000 at the signing, or is it like during a monthly payment, or how does the consideration?
The answer is yo.
Is that a yes, no?
That's it. I mean, the answer is it depends. So, an upfront option consideration fee is something that I think is worthwhile to do. It demonstrates skin in the game. It demonstrates some financial ability. But in some situations, I've even taken part of a option consideration up front. And then maybe a note and received payments for the remainder because maybe I wanted a $30,000 option fee and they only had $20,000 right now. Okay. But I felt that they were otherwise, good tenants and they really want, they had the ability, once they took care of A, B, and C, to buy the home and they really wanted to buy the home and we weren't overstretching their budget, so it has to make sense again.
And this is the really cool thing about doing this is it's customizable every single time. Whereas when you're working with a bank, here are the rules. And they just rarely switch them. Rarely switch them up.
But they're printed out in manuals and stuff. Printed out.
So but so many people have unique circumstances. And
say I want to buy this house and I'm going to be getting a $10,000 bonus and all I have right now is $20,000 and you want $30,000 for the option consideration. In a few months, I'm going to have that $10,000 bonus, or I'm working a second job and I'll have that for you over the next few months or something. Yeah, customizable.
We all know that there's people out there that we would not let borrow money from us. And there's people out there that might be a little rough on the qualifications, but we would have no problem loaning to them. So it really, really allows us to dive in and figure something out that works for
character matters.
Person. Exactly. Character does matter. And